profits and what are the rewards of this business deal, of this business contract. You see, in all honesty, Allahu A'lam, the matter, it's greater than being able to calculate what the reward for these days are and for the one who takes advantage of these days. Allahu A'lam. In reality, Allahu A'lam what the reward is. But we've got a few opinions and narrations from Sahaba, from as-Salaf to teach us what exactly is the reward of these days and how honored and how great they are. Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu, he says, a umrah in Dhul Hijjah is much more beloved to him than a umrah in Ramadan. Umrah in Dhul Hijjah is much more beloved than a umrah in Ramadan. This statement is huge. Why? Because we already know that a umrah in Ramadan is equal to the reward of a hajj with Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. That's the reward of a umrah in Ramadan. And Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu, when he narrates something, it's different to when other Sahaba narrate things. Then Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu is known. He was known for his strict adherence to the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And he is the one who's saying that a umrah in these 10 days is much better and more preferred to him and more beloved to him than a umrah in Ramadan that would equal to the reward of doing hajj with Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. You see, with this narration, you understand how the companions used to view these days of Dhul Hijjah. And look at our state and how we view these 10 days of Dhul Hijjah. Look at how Sahaba radiallahu anhum used to honor these days. And then look at our state and how do we honor these days. My brothers in Islam, the purpose of this lesson today, and every lesson that you hear about the 10 days of Dhul Hijjah, is not only that we understand the importance and the significance of Dhul Hijjah and that we get motivated a little bit and worship Allah Azza wa Jal during these 10 days. That's not the primary purpose. Otherwise, most of us, if not all of us, we know that. But the purpose of the lesson today, and every lesson you hear about the 10 of Dhul Hijjah, is to let the world know about the importance and significance of these days. Is to let the world know that there is another season of worship like Ramadan, and that is much more rewarding to Allah Azza wa Jal than Ramadan. We need to change the attitude of the people so that the same attitude they have when they greet Ramadan is the same attitude they're supposed to have when they meet these 10 days of Dhul Hijjah. That's the purpose of the lesson, that you take something and you spread it to the world. You spread it to your family and those around you, teaching them the importance. You know why? Because the majority of Muslims, they only worship Allah Azza wa Jal exhaustively in special seasons of worship, like Ramadan. Many don't pray anything at night except during Ramadan. And many don't fast during the days except the days of Ramadan. Therefore, if the Muslims don't know about these special seasons of worship during the year, it is our problem. It's on our neck. And this is why we should inform the world that there is a season of worship that is much greater and much more rewarding than Ramadan. And this is the opinion of the majority of the scholars. Ibn Rajab rahimahullah, he said that the reward of the obligatory act performed in the 10 days of the Hijjah is greater in the sight of Allah and much more rewarding than the obligatory act that is done during Ramadan. And that the voluntary act that is performed in the 10 days of Dhul Hijjah is greater and much more rewarding in the sight of Allah Azza wa Jal than the voluntary act that is done in Ramadan. Of course, except Laylatul Qadr and what that offers. This is the words of Ibn Rajab. Ulama, they said this. Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, he says that one hasana in the 10 days of Dhul Hijjah is multiplied to 700 times. One hasana, one page of the Quran that you read in the 10 days of Dhul Hijjah is equal to 700 pages of the Quran. One subhanallah you say is equal to 700 subhanallah. One page of the Quran you read in 10 days of Dhul Hijjah is more rewarding than reading the entire Quran from cover to cover other than the days of Dhul Hijjah. The one page of the Quran. This is Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu's narration. Qatada rahimahullah, from among the Salaf, he said that fasting one day from the 10 days of Dhul Hijjah is equal to 1 year. And the Arafah is 2 years, the reward of 2 years, expiation and wiping of the sins of 2 years. All up, the one who fasts them 10 years of fasting. And that's just the deed of fasting. We're only speaking about fasting, nothing else. Yani Allahu Akbar. Imagine how huge and how rewarding these days are. And this is why Allah Azza wa Jalla, He says, هَلْ أَدُلُّكُمْ عَلَى تِجَارَةٍ. We're businessmen, we're businessmen, but not of this world, businessmen of the hereafter. Al-Awza'i rahimahullah, he says that the deeds of one day are equal to ghazwa fi sabilillah. That the deeds that are done in one day of the 10 days of Dhul Hijjah is equal to a ghazwa fi sabilillah. Al-ghazwa meaning giving the person the reward as though he has joined the battle with Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Then when al-ghazwa is said, it is referring to the battle in which the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was a part of. This is the deeds in one day is equal to that. Wa Anas radiyallahu anhu, he said, كان يقال في أيام العشر بكل يوم ألف يوم. Anas radiyallahu anhu, he said, it has been narrated, it's mentioned, that one day of these 10 days is equal to 1,000 days. Imagine that you're worshipping Allah in one day, and you earn the reward of worshipping Allah in 1,000 days. And he said, وَيَوْمُ عَرَفَ بِعَشْرَةِ آلَافِ يَوْمٍ. And that the day of Arafah is equal to 10,000 days. One day equal to 10,000 days. These are opinions and narrations. Ulama, was-Sahaba, was-Salaf, rahimahumullah ta'ala. Hatta al-Awza'i, rahimahullah, when he said, بلغني أن العمل في اليوم كقدر غزوة في سبيل الله يصام نهارها ويحرس ليلها. He said that the deeds in one day, just like he said in his first opinion, the deeds in one day is equal to a ghazwa fi sabilillah, in which you're fasting the entire day and you're protecting the believers during the entire night. شوف الأجر العظيم. And we haven't even, wallahi, all of this. And I tell you, from what I've read and what I know, and what is there and I don't know, what we've mentioned is nothing about the greatness of these days. Their greatness is huge. It's bigger than what you and I know. It's big. This is why in Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, now we come to the words of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, in where he says, مَا مِنْ أَيَّامٍ الْعَمَلُ الصَّالِحُ فِيهَا أَحَبُّ إِلَى اللَّهِ مِنْ هَذِهِ الْأَيَّامِ الْعَشْرِ. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said that there are no days in which performing righteous actions during these days is much more beloved to Allah Azza wa Jal than during these days. For they said, Ya Rasulullah, وَلَا الْجِهَادُ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. Not even al-jihad fi sabilillah. He said, وَلَا الْجِهَادُ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ إِلَّا رَجُلٌ خَرَجَ بِنَفْسِهِ وَمَالِهِ فَلَمْ يَرْجِعْ مِنْ ذَلِكَ بِشَيْءٍ. Not even al-jihad fi sabilillah. Ya Ikhwan, we need to understand what this means. These days are better than the days of Ramadan. And Ramadan were days in which Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, مَنْ صَامَ رَمَضَانَ إِيمَانًا وَاحْتِسَابًا غُفِرَ لَهُ مَا تَقَدَّمَ مِنْ ذَنْبِهِ. Don't you know that hadith? In when Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said that the one who fasts Ramadan would earn a total wipe away of his sayyat. His sayyat are clean. And the one who prays the nights of Ramadan earns a forgiveness of all his sins. If that was the reward of Ramadan, and Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is saying these days are more beloved, and the reward in them is much greater than the reward in Ramadan, which earned you complete forgiveness. So we need to take these days seriously. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, ما من عمل أزكى عند الله ولا أعظم أجرا من خير يعمله في عشر الأضحى. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is saying that the deeds that are performed during these days are azka indallah. If you're wanting to look into yourself and purify and cleanse yourself, then these are days of cleansing and purification. These are days of